Order. I call this meeting to order. This is the Standing Committee on Human Resources. My name is Chris Palmer. I'm the MLA for Kings West and chair of the committee. Today we'll hear from Nova Scotia Community College, the Construction Sector Council of Nova Scotia, and the Building Trades Advancement College of Nova Scotia regarding information on the construction and trades workforce in Nova Scotia. We'll also be reviewing appointments to agencies, boards, and commissions. And at this point, I'd like to ask everybody in the room to please make sure your phones are put to silent so we don't have any interruptions. And I'd also like to ask all of our committee members to introduce themselves with their name and their constituency. We'll begin with MLA Timmins.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Diane Timmins. I'm the MLA for Victoria the Lakes. Nice to be here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Trevor Boudreau. I'm the MLA for Richmond.
Hi, welcome. Melissa Sheehy-Richard. I'm the MLA for Hants West.
Good afternoon. My name is Ali Gogi-Father, the MLA for Clayton Park West. It's great to have you here.
Good afternoon. Thanks for being here. I'm Becky Druin, MLA for Lunenburg West, she, her.
Good afternoon. Thanks for being here. My name is Susie Hanson. I'm the MLA for Halifax Needham, she, her.
Thank you, everyone. And for the purposes of Hansard, I'd also like to recognize the presence of our Legislative Counsel, Killian Schlemmer, to my left, and Legislative Committee Clerk, Robin Dan, to my right. At this point, before we move into our topic this afternoon, we'd like to ask our guests just to give us the grace to go through our appointments to agencies, boards, and commissions. And I will look to the Government Caucus to give us a motion. MLA Sheehy-Richard.
Thank you, Chair. For the Department of Education Early Childhood Development, I move to recommend Lisa Bland be appointed member, Valley Region, to the Council on African Canadian Education.
Motion on the table. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. MLA Sheehy-Richard.
For the Department of Education Early Childhood Development, I move to recommend Nao Upshaw be appointed member at large to the Council on African Canadian Education.
Motion on the table. Discussion. All those in favor of the motion say aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. MLA Sheehy-Richard.
For the Department of Education Early Childhood Development, I move to recommend Kaylin Lloyd, Kim Rhino Bercisco be appointed members to the Atlantic Province's Special Education Authority Board of Directors.
Motion on the table. Discussion. All those in favor of the motion say aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. MLA Sheehy-Richard.
Thank you, Chair. For the Department on Environment and Climate Change, I move to recommend John Chasson, Suzanne Fuller, and Angie Gillis be appointed members to the Roundtable on Environment and Sustainable Prosperity.
Motion on the table. Is there discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. MLA Sheehy-Richard.
For the Department of Environment and Climate Change, I move to recommend Scott Skinner be appointed member and designate chair to the Roundtable on Environment and Sustainable Prosperity.
Motion on the table. Discussion. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The motion is carried. MLA Sheehy-Richard.
For the Department of Emergency Management, I move to recommend Timothy McDermott and Kite Power be appointed members to the E911 Cost Recovery Committee.
Motion on the table. Discussion. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The motion is carried. MLA Sheehy-Richard.
Thank you. For the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture, I move to recommend Howard Blinn be appointed directors to the Nova Scotia Fisheries and Aquaculture Loan Board.
Motion on the table. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. MLA Sheehy-Richard.
For the Department of Health and Wellness, I move to recommend Wanda McDonald and Beverly Patterson be appointed public representatives to the Board of Nova Scotia Regulator of Dietetics. Motion
is on the table. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. MLA Sheehy-Richard.
For the Department of Health and Wellness, I move to recommend Anne-Marie Gammon be appointed public representative to the Board of Nova Scotia Regulator of Audiology and Speech Language Pathology.
Motion on the table. Discussion. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. MLA Sheehy-Richard.
For For the Department of Health and Wellness, I move to recommend Brian Knight and Wanda McDonald be appointed public representatives to the Board of Nova Scotia Chiropractic and Naturopathic Regulator.
There's a motion on the table. Is there any discussion? MLA Boudreau.
Thank you, Chair. So given that I am a member of this regulatory body, I will just wanted to let everybody know I'm going to abstain from voting on this item.
Thank you. Duly noted. All those in favor of the motion say aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. MLA Sheehy Richard.
A few more, Chair. For the Department of Health and Wellness, I move to recommend Dermot Crooks and Brian Knight be appointed representatives to the Board of Nova Scotia Regulator on Physiotherapy.
MLA Sheehy Richard, could you please repeat the motion? And I think it's public representative. Can you
Pardon me.
repeat the
Yes,
motion,
sure.
please?
For the Department of Health and Wellness, I move to recommend Dermot Crooks and Brian Knight be appointed public representatives to the Board of the Nova Scotia Regulator on Physiotherapy.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. MLA Sheehy Richard.
For the Department of Growth and Development, I move to recommend Nicole Campbell be appointed member and designate chair to the Peggy's Cove Commission.
Motion on the table. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. MLA Sheehy Richard.
For the Department of Growth and Development, I move to recommend Judy Dauphiny be appointed member of the Peggy's Cove Commission.
Motion on the table. Discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. MLA Sheehy Richard.
For the Department of Justice, I move to recommend Matthew McDonald be appointed member, Town of Stellarton, to the Municipal Board of Police Commissioners.
The motion is on the table. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. All those opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. That concludes our appointments to agencies, boards, and commissions. Thank you for indulging us as we got that done, and we'd like to welcome you all this afternoon. Look forward to our topic, information on the construction and trades workforce in Nova Scotia. I'd like to ask you to all introduce yourselves, and then we'll get into opening statements. So we'll begin maybe with Mr. Soholt, and we'll go down the table.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Trent Soholt with the Nova Scotia Construction Sector Council.
Good afternoon, everyone. Andrew Lafford, Vice President of Academic at Nova Scotia Community College.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to meet you. Sarah Hall, Dean of the Institute of Skilled Trades for Nova Scotia Community College.
Good afternoon. I'm John Harding from the Building Trades Advancement College of Nova Scotia. I'm one of the instructors and program coordinators of the Electrical Apprenticeship Program.
Thank you. So I have in front of me who would like to give opening statements. So I think we'll begin with Mr. Soholt, and then we'll go that direction. So we'll begin with you, Mr. Soholt.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the committee members. Good afternoon. Bonjour, Gouet. Thank you again for inviting me back to this committee. A few new faces, but all in all familiar faces that I'm grateful to be part of this afternoon. As mentioned, I'm the Executive Director with the Nova Scotia Construction Sector Council. We are industry and government's help desk, or project management office, if you would, supporting workforce development, collaboration, innovation, and investment, both by industry and by government in the construction sector. I've gotten to know many of you through some of our youth engagement activities, through some of the research that we've done, community engagement activities, training activities from all ends of the province. And I'm also proud to be the chair of the board for the Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Agency. On the industry side, it's no surprise to anyone that the construction sector is very, very busy. For us, we often will look at the number of cranes in the sky. I shared with the previous committee that when we count the cranes, we know the volume of activity is either increasing or decreasing, and we're sitting at around 40 cranes right now in the province of Nova Scotia. And for context, from 2015 to 2025, so that decade period for the industrial, commercial, institutional sector, which is everything bigger than a house and not a road, the industry itself grew about 32%. All right, so that's about an average of 3% per year. And going forward, many of our projections are seeing the sector continue to grow between 5 and as high as 12%, depending on the projects that are announced and the activity that comes to the province. With that, of course, there are many opportunities in all aspects of our industry with generational investments underway. And to meet that demand, the sector is leaning heavily into recruitment, training, and retention for both trades and management occupations. On the management side, we're proud to deliver a number of training programs and entry programs, such as supervision and project management and estimating and what have you for the sector, all of which are done in partnership with the province of Nova Scotia and supported through Labour Skills and Immigration. And a big thanks to LSI for the ongoing support for those activities as we continue to deliver on those demands. On the trade side, we've been leveraging industry and government partners and relationships to strengthen, coordinate, and accelerate activities and processes such as direct entry, where an employer and an employee develop that relationship and register with the apprenticeship agency through the industry and community engagement activities that we have in our organization. We focus heavily on the enhanced direct entry process, which is where an individual might get a 10, 12, or up to 20-week program to become work ready and then become attached to an employer and then go through their apprenticeship journey from there, as well as promoting the pre-apprenticeship programs with my partners to my left here. Really looking at opportunities as to how we can strengthen both community, industry, and government involvement. And one example of that is Construction Industry Supports program funded by Labour Skills and Immigration, which is highly focused on industry partnerships with government to deliver on training and new entrants into the sector. All amazing opportunities to get individuals work ready with job placements attached to employment and registered with that apprenticeship agency process. These are all initiatives that we're very proud of and have such a coordinated workforce approach with our partners, including, as I mentioned earlier, Labour Skills and Immigration, the Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Agency, industry, the building trades, contractors associations, the community college, and the new Institute of Skilled Trades through the Nova Scotia Community College. And one of the ways that we're focusing our efforts, because I get asked this all the time, how are you focusing on the opportunities? We have a forecasting model that's uniquely built for Nova Scotia, where we can take projects and take a look at how labor supply and demand need to be balanced to deliver on these projects for the province. And I wish it was something that I could show you all in depth and look forward to the opportunity of being able to do so. But it helps us identify right down to the belly button by occupation that would be needed by project across the province and gives us a planning tool then to help inform our partners through training opportunities or through direct entry and recruitment, promoting Nova Scotia to the rest of Canada and what have you. And very, very honored that Public Works is a huge supporter of that initiative, as is Build Nova Scotia. And lastly, and certainly not least, youth engagement has been critical for both the future of our industry and the future for the province. And many of you may know last week we celebrated the location of our second trades exhibition facility, where youth from Cape Breton will be able to come and visit us once it's built and get a chance to try out 39 plus different occupations in the construction industry to help learn, experience, and decide what an occupation might be for them or what an occupation might not be for them. At least have that information. And we've concluded, as well as a number of partners here in the last week, a number of summer programs funded through the Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Agency and LSI. So very proud of that work as well. Appreciating the volume of investment that's underway, appreciating the volume of opportunity that is underway for us as a province and for an industry. Extremely excited and proud to be part of this esteemed panel and looking forward to the conversations as we go forward this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lafford, opening comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members, for the invitation to appear here today. With me is Sarah Hall, NSCC's Dean for the Institute of Skilled Trades. We're pleased to be a part of the examination on the topic of information on the construction and trade workforce in Nova Scotia. As you make your way downtown, it's impossible to miss the evidence of tremendous needs in this sector. With the massive cranes around the city that Trent just mentioned, on both sides of the harbour and across this province, and the growth of these accompanying needs stretch right across Nova Scotia. As Nova Scotia's community college, partnering with the government and industry to work more strategically is a part of who we are and is embedded in our work to foster student success. Our goal, encouraging and preparing more individuals to train in and therefore address provincial workforce needs in vital sectors like construction and the trades. Discussions are continuously ongoing with our partners on additional initiatives we can incorporate into our work to help further advance our mission and focus. With the new Institute of Skilled Trades Council now meeting monthly and bringing its voice to the college directly, industry is playing a direct role in shaping programs, curriculum outcomes, equipment requirements, and delivery models. Never in this generation has there been such a critical time to ensure that we have this right. We are seeing major investments in housing, transportation, clean energy, manufacturing, shipbuilding, national defense, and public infrastructure, all depending on the college and the other training partners in the province to ensure we have a skilled workforce in place. Skilled trades are essential to our provinces and our country's economic security, sovereignty, and sustainability. Employers need workers with job-ready, industry-validated, and modern skills, and our students depend on us to provide them with that training that leads directly to certification, employment, and long-term prosperity. We also need training spaces that are equipped to provide that training. In addition to the $25 million investment over the next 5 years provided by the province and attached to the Institute of Skilled Trades, we have also just recently celebrated a $3.2 million refurbishment of shops at our Akeley campus in Dartmouth by Irving Shipbuilding. These investments help ensure our students are training on the most up-to-date equipment by strengthening our current collaborative efforts with government, with those already in the sector or those looking to gain opportunities to tap into major projects on the horizon. We can more efficiently and effectively achieve the goals we each hold for our province and the communities that we serve. Having watched over 4,000 graduates cross our convocation stage just a few months ago and now getting set to welcome thousands of more new students next week, I can't tell you how proud I am of the role that our college has played in the overall system, of our employee community, and of our key partners, who are all in support of the next generation of skilled and talented workers who will meet the amazing opportunities now into the years ahead. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thank you, Mr. Lafford. And Mr. Harding, some opening comments.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, and respected colleagues. Thank you for the invitation to appear before you today to discuss skilled trade shortages in Nova Scotia and the practical steps needed to strengthen our province's trade workforce. I'm John Harding. I've been involved in the skilled trades for more than 40 years. My journey began when I was 15 years old working as a summer helper for my father's electrical contracting company. Interestingly, my father was a Red Seal electrician and never wanted me to become a tradesperson. He wanted something different for me, so I pursued a business degree. After completing my degree, I returned to the family business and worked in the office, where I was involved in virtually every aspect of the operation, from bookkeeping and payroll to estimating and material purchasing. When my father passed away when I was 27, I took over the business, and it was at that point I decided to officially start my electrical apprenticeship. That decision changed the direction of my career. During my final year of trade school, I developed an interest in teaching, and after gaining several years of experience working in the field as a journey person, I was offered a part-time teaching position at Humber College in Ontario. That eventually became a 13-and-a-half-year career teaching electrical apprentices, including 5 years as a full-time professor. While teaching at Humber, I decided to continue my own education and completed a master's degree in education. In the summer of 2017, I moved to Halifax and taught related subjects at NSCC for a year before transferring to the IBEW Local 625. Since transferring to the local, I have been involved in a number of initiatives focused on preparing workers for trades and supporting our members. I was part of the team that developed the Work Ready program, which provides safety training to our members. I'm currently an instructor and program coordinator for the pre-apprenticeship program that the IBEW provides through the Building Trades Advancement College in Nova Scotia, or referred to as BTAC. I was also a major part of the team that developed the curriculum and program application for the private career division of the Nova Scotia government. BTAC is an excellent example of what can happen when industry takes an active role in developing the skilled workforce it needs. BTAC is the largest private sector trainer in Nova Scotia. It operates 7 campuses throughout 13 building trade unions, representing more than 11,000 skilled tradespeople in Nova Scotia's industrial, commercial, and institutional construction sector, in partnership with approximately 350 ICI contractors. What I think is particularly important about the BTAC model is it is training for tradespeople by tradespeople. Our instructors come from the construction industry. They understand the work because they have done the work. They understand what contractors need because they have worked in the industry themselves. That connection between training and the actual needs of the employers is critical. BTAC provides hands-on industrial-led training designed to produce tradespeople who are prepared to work safely and productively. We offer direct entry opportunities in more than 20 skilled trades, and the training is designed around the skills and competencies actually required by the industry. This is important because we cannot afford to train people in isolation from the realities of the workplace. If our objective is to address skilled trade shortages, we need training systems that are responsive to what employers actually need today and what they're going to need tomorrow. BTAC also provides a direct connection to the employment opportunities. That is an important part of the equation. One of the challenges we face is that we can encourage someone to consider a career in the trades, but that is only the beginning. We then need to give the individual the skills, safety training, work experience, and support necessary to successfully enter the workforce and progress through an apprenticeship. The BTAC model helps create the pathway. And I believe that it is an important lesson for Nova Scotia. The answer to our skilled trade shortage is not simply increase the number of people entering the training programs. We need to look at the entire pipeline. How do we introduce young people to the trades? How do we help people who are considering a career change understand what trades offer? How do we prepare candidates before they enter an apprenticeship? How do we make sure apprentices have access to employers who can provide meaningful on-the-job training? How do we support apprentices through to certification? And once they become journey persons, how do we retain them here in Nova Scotia? These are all interconnected issues. My involvement with Skills Canada has reinforced this for me over nearly 20 years. I've served as trainer and coach, a provincial technical committee member, and a national technical committee member. Skilled Canada provides a tremendous opportunity to showcase the trades. When young people see skilled tradespeople competing at a very high level, they begin to understand that these are not simply jobs where you work with your hands. These are careers that require technical knowledge, mathematics, problem solving, precision technology, communication, and continuous learning. We need to do more to change the perception of the trades. For too long, young people have sometimes been given the message that the traditional path to success is a university degree, while the trades are somehow an alternative, as with my father. I believe we need to change that conversation. The skilled trades are a form of post-secondary education. Apprentices spend significant time learning in the classroom and then applying that knowledge in the workplace. Becoming a competent trade person requires intelligence, commitment, discipline, and a willingness to continually learn. And Nova Scotia needs these people. Every building we construct, every industrial project we undertake, every hospital, school, commercial development, energy project, and piece of infrastructure depends on the skilled tradespeople. As Nova Scotia grows, our need for skilled workers will only increase. But we also need to recognize that we are facing a generational challenge. Many experienced tradespeople are approaching retirement. When they leave the workforce, we don't just lose number of workers, we risk losing decades of knowledge and experience. We need to find better ways to transfer that knowledge to the next generation. We also need to make sure that experienced tradespeople see value in staying in the workforce longer, whether that's through mentoring, training, supervision, or other roles where their experience can benefit the next generation. Ultimately, I believe the solution requires partnership. Government has an important role to play, but government cannot solve this problem alone. Employers, unions, contractors, educational institutions, training organizations, industrial associations, and tradespeople themselves all have a role. The BTAC experience demonstrates what can happen when these groups work together. Industry knows what skills are required. Tradespeople know what it takes to do the work. Contractors know what they need from their workforce. Training providers know how to develop those skills, and government has the ability to create an environment where these partnerships can succeed. If we bring those perspectives together, we can build a much stronger pathway into the trades. I believe Nova Scotia has an opportunity to do exactly that. We should not look at the skilled trade shortage simply as a problem. We should look at it as an opportunity. We have young people looking for meaningful careers. We have people looking to change careers. We have newcomers bringing valuable skills and experience. We have employers who need workers. And we have the experienced tradespeople who can help train the next generation. The challenge is connecting all those pieces together. My experience over the past 40 years has convinced me that the skilled trades provide some of the best career opportunities available in Nova Scotia and in Canada. Our responsibility is to make sure people know that, have a clear pathway into those careers, receive high-quality training, and have the support necessary to succeed. If we can strengthen the pipeline from awareness to pre-apprenticeship to certification, and ultimately to long and successful career, we can make a meaningful difference in addressing Nova Scotia's skilled trade shortage. The government has already introduced several initiatives that provide meaningful incentives for people entering the trade skills. These programs are a positive step, but there is an opportunity to expand them so that they better reflect the realities of today's workforce. One area that could be improved is the eligibility criteria for existing tax incentives for skilled tradespeople. While there is value in encouraging young people to enter the trades, limiting these incentives to individuals under the age of 30 creates a significant gap for older adults who are making the decision to enter a skilled trade later in life. As a journey person, I understand the importance of encouraging people to pursue a skilled trade, but I believe these opportunities should be available to all apprentices regardless of age. People entering the trades at different stages of their life, and an individual who begins an apprenticeship at 35, 40, or even 49 is still making the same commitment to developing the skills our province needs. For example, our oldest student entering the pre-apprenticeship program this fall is 49 years old. This individual is starting a completely new career and entering the trade at an entry level. They face many of the same financial challenges as a younger person entering the program, and in some cases have many greater responsibilities such as mortgages, family, or other financial commitments. Government incentives should recognize that the career changers and mature apprentices are an important part of addressing the skilled trade shortage. Removing age restrictions from apprenticeship-related tax incentives would allow more people to make the transition into trade careers and would expand the pool of qualified workers available to employers. There's also an opportunity to broaden access to government bursaries and training supports. In the past, some bursary programs have been limited to students attending the community colleges. While community colleges play an important role in the trades education, they are not the only organizations providing high-quality industry-related trading across the province. Students attending approved private training providers, trade schools, unions, and other recognized training organizations can also be making the same commitment to a career in the skilled trades. If the objective of these programs is to increase participation in the trades and address labor shortages, financial assistance should be based on the program and the student's pathway into the trade rather than solely on the type of institution delivering the training. I'd encourage the government to consider expanding these programs so that skilled trades tax incentives are available to apprentices of all ages, including mature students and career changers. Bursaries and financial supports are available to students attending all recognized and approved trades training providers. Eligibility is based on participation in approved pathways towards skilled trades career rather than the student's age or the type of institution they attend. Additional incentives are developed to help remove the financial barriers that prevent people from entering or completing apprenticeship training. If we're serious about addressing the skilled trade shortage, we should make it easier for anyone willing to learn a trade and contribute to the workforce to do so. The government has already established a foundation of useful programs. Expanding their eligibility would make those programs more inclusive, more effective, and better aligned with the realities of today's workforce. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, for the opportunity to appear here today. I look forward to answering your questions and sharing my experience with the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. So we'll now get into the question and answer period from our committee members to you. We'll begin with the official opposition that has 20 minutes, then the third party that will have 10 minutes, then the government caucus will have 30 minutes after that, and then we'll see how much time is left until 2:50, how that time will be split, 50% from the government caucus and the rest from the opposition. So we'll begin with the official opposition and the NDP caucus. MLA Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you all for being here today. My first question is going to go to Nova Scotia Construction Sector Council. The construction industry in our province provides well-paying jobs and supports the development of critical infrastructure like hospitals and homes. And we know we don't have the number of workers needed right now to meet that demand. Mr. Soholt, can you tell us what impact this shortage is having on the province?
Mr. Soholt.
Thank you so much for the question. So as we find occupations that do have shortages in them, what it's causing is sometimes a delay in the project as to when it starts or when it might be able to adhere to its schedule. It is forcing us as an industry as well to work with whoever the owners are to look at how we sequence the projects better. So within that sort of that challenge, we have a lot more dialogue in the industry as well to say, if we can't do this project because the mechanical crew is not going to be available for that particular chunk of work or that scope of work, can we reschedule that or align it better with another scope of work that might be on a neighboring project? And so we're having some of those conversations on a more regular basis than I think we have in a number of years because of that challenge of making sure that we have the qualified individuals able to perform that work. It's also really encouraging us to be creative in how we recruit and how we get individuals then better connected to these projects. It's how we also can work with contractors and employers to say, how do we better provide opportunities for individuals who maybe haven't had opportunities in the past? And I think of some of the equity deserving community groups who haven't been traditionally connected to the construction industry. And a vehicle that we've been using, and a vehicle that in large part the province of Nova Scotia is leading across the country, is how we procure projects. So in a number of projects, especially on the provincially funded side, they have language in there that tells the contractor up front, we have expectations of you to have apprentices that will perform certain hours on that project that are registered and able to be tracked through the apprenticeship agency. As well, we want to see members from the community represented on these projects. So we're engaging audiences that typically haven't been seen on our projects. And I think that's really just a couple of examples of how the industry is really trying to rise to this challenge in partnership. I love that phrase that was mentioned earlier, in partnership with industry.
Thank you. MLA Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you for that. I'm glad to hear that there are conversations and better communication pieces. It's kind of forcing you to have these, which is great, not in the bad way, but, because you're right, you have to be creative in trying to figure out what this is going to look like. So, what impact is this having on the overall cost of the projects?
Mr. Soho.
That's a good question. I don't have the data in front of me to say what the financial or long-term scheduling impact might be for projects. As some anecdotes that come up, though, we are seeing some price escalations in some occupations that may not have individuals to perform that work, or if the project wasn't scoped or planned to completeness in the very beginning, we're seeing contractors have to fill in those gaps. So what I mean by that is there are a number of projects that have occurred in the last number of years that have been issued for tender that weren't complete for design and engineering. That forces an employer to not only look at the labor supply to best maximize and complete that work, but it introduces a lot of risk then to complete that design and that engineering and then sequence and schedule that appropriately to be able to deliver the projects on time. There are a number of projects that are absolutely being impacted, both schedule and in cost, and there are a number of projects that through whatever procurement model that they've used are still going ahead as planned, and we still see the cranes in the sky. So the industry is still very much excited and open to seize those opportunities and get it done.
MLA Hanson.
Thank you for that. My question is for NSCC or BTAC or both. In part, because of these shortages, construction companies from other provinces are flying crews in and out of Nova Scotia on a project-by-project basis to build everything from housing to hospitals. So, Mr. Lafford or Mr. Harding, are Nova Scotian students able to get apprenticeships with these companies? And if any, is there any changes that you can see that would improve this apprenticeship opportunities for local students?
So who would like to take the first crack at it? Okay, Mr. Lafford.
Thank you for the question. So yes, Nova Scotia apprenticeship, the employers can take on new apprentices. Within Nova Scotia, if those are Nova Scotian companies, there's also labor mobility across with different provinces, especially within the Maritimes, where there's recognized training and recognized hours across the different provinces, and the actual curriculum for the apprenticeship programs in most cases is harmonized amongst the provinces.
Mr. Harding, are you? Sorry, Mr. Lafford, were you?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Mr. Harding, was it to add to that?
Yeah. BTAC represents the 13 trade unions here in Nova Scotia. So for a company that comes into our jurisdiction that is unionized, they have to hire from our hall. For example, we have a job that's starting up shortly in the Bridgewater area. A Toronto electrical contractor has come in to run the project and has the work. They will be using all of our labor force for that job. And that's a requirement of the unions, is that when you work out of jurisdiction, it doesn't matter where the contractor is from, they have to use local labor.
Thank you. MLA Hanson.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. This is also what Mr. Harding had mentioned earlier about the MOST program, or the MOST tax refund. So to the Nova Scotia Construction Sector Council, the industry snapshot says the average age of construction or construction apprentice is 31 years old. Yet the cutoff for this government's MOST tax refund is 30. We've had a number of meetings with other committees and spoke about how this change would impact and benefit a number of other folks who are coming later in career, as Mr. Harding has mentioned. So, Mr. Soho, would you like to see the age limit on this program increased to help encourage more people to train in this work sector? And do you see the benefits of that?
Mr. Soho.
Thank you for that question. I absolutely think there's an opportunity here to revisit the programs that we have to best suit the individuals who are both being attracted to our system and already in the system and being able to succeed. There's a lot of opportunities as well, to be perfectly honest, to educate some of our younger folks about the opportunities that do exist, because they too, I think, are unaware of how to do their taxes and the availability of both grants and incentives that might be available to them. And I know there are a number of employers who work very hard to encourage their apprentices to seize those opportunities when available, but there are equally those that don't know about them themselves. And so I think there's opportunities not only to look at the program, but how we communicate and how we promote those opportunities out to the individuals who I think it would matter most to.
Thank you. MLA Hanson.
This is going to go to you as well, Trent. According to Statistics Canada, union construction wages in Toronto are over $20 an hour, more than they are in Halifax. When crews fly in from other Canadian cities, are they being paid the local rate or the rate from their home province?
Mr. Soho.
That is a great question. I might have to defer, though, to my colleague at the other end of the table who lives and breathes this every day.
Okay, Mr. Harding.
So the way it works with most unions, and not all unions are the same, but if I was to go and work in Toronto, I would be paid on the Toronto local wages. There is some dues and stuff that go back and forth, and you do have to, as a union employee, you do have to sign in with the local. For example, I'm local 625 Halifax. We actually represent all of PEI and mainland Nova Scotia. So for a worker to come here into Nova Scotia, they'd be paid based on our wage tables, which can kind of hurt us at times too because of that $20 difference.
MLA Hanson.
Thank you for that, and I appreciate the clarity, because Nova Scotia is one of the most expensive cities in Canada to live right now, and yet out of 25 major Canadian cities, Halifax has the second lowest construction union wages, wage rates. Are you hearing that people from other provinces are hesitant to move here on a permanent basis because of this?
Is that to Mr. Harding? Okay, Mr. Harding.
I haven't really talked to too many people out of town or from other provinces, but it's actually in my notes here that one of the things that I feel, again, our rates are not comparable necessarily, but we have other things to offer here in Nova Scotia. I do feel that to entice people to move from other provinces, we do have to, maybe have some recruitment, whether it's a tax incentive to purchase a home here, or for the skilled trades, or something along those lines to actually create that incentive to move here. Again, originally I'm from Toronto, and I moved here 9 years ago. I moved out here for several reasons. One of them is the beauty and the attraction of what the Maritimes has to offer overall.
Thank you. MLA Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm glad that you moved home for the beauty, because it really is beautiful. My question is to the Sector Council. Again, we know that Build Force Canada's latest forecast that the province will need 15,000 new construction sector workers within the next 8 years. Mr. Soho, what would you like to see the province do to boost recruitment and retention?
Mr. Soho.
Thank you so much for that question. I'm actually on the Atlantic Committee for Build Force, so I know the numbers very, very well and how things are being forecasted out. A couple of caveats on that to keep in mind. Whenever you're looking at the Build Force data, it does include road building, house building, and the ICI, the industrial, commercial, institutional sector. So I can speak mostly to the industrial, commercial, institutional sector, less so to the road building and less so to the house building. And there is some, from Stats Canada's perspective, some blurriness, I guess, of where the needs will be and when those needs will come to fruition. When you think about that number, the total population of construction is roughly around 45,000 people in the province. So we start to see then that a predictable replacement rate is sitting at the 3 to 5% per year over the 10-year period. That is actually a fairly normal churn of industry to see that sort of volume come and go. Where I think the challenges are going to be, though, or where the pinch points are going to be, is as more major projects are announced, as more major projects maybe aren't sequenced in a way that we maximize the labor that's available, that's where we're going to start to see those pinch points. To meet the needs, though, of what Buildforce has flagged, and even the Sector Council has flagged through a lot of our research, is we have to look at all avenues of recruitment, we have to look at all avenues of retention, and we have to look at all avenues, especially in the skilled trades, around getting somebody connected to the apprenticeship agency, progressing and completing to that Red Seal certification. And to do so, we talk about direct entry being a pathway that most folks don't know it exists. So finding that employer saying, hey, I would like to be this trades professional and learn from you as the employer, we don't see that uptake as much as the opportunity does exist in the industry. We also have then what I referred to earlier as the Enhanced Direct Entry Program, where individuals can get work-ready skills over a period of time by industry trainers, by individuals who can then connect them to employers and get them connected to apprenticeship. And we're seeing a lot of success in that rate, to the tune of 70% of those who take the programming are staying with the employers and actually registering to apprenticeship. So that's a critical opportunity. Then when they go to pre-apprenticeship through the NSCC, and not to speak for my colleagues here, it's really about ensuring that when they do that, how are they then being made fully aware of the scope of work that's available for them, and then how, again, do they get connected to the industry? Because an individual may not be ready to pursue direct entry or enhanced direct entry, and the college process is exactly what they're looking for to succeed. And so we sit on a number of committees together where, at the end of the day, we're constantly saying we need the right bums in the right seats, pursuing the right occupations with the right information, with the right opportunities for success in the industry. And so we're having those conversations on a daily basis to make sure we're doing right by Nova Scotians who want to then pursue those opportunities. So I think with having all of those things in place and having continuous investment by the province to make sure that those programs are robust and that we have industry engagement throughout that entire process, that's really where we're starting to see success. We're starting to see the impact now of individuals getting in, and you know, you think of the individuals from African Nova Scotian communities or Mi'kmaq communities who are connecting to apprenticeship and construction that have never had that opportunity before. The diversity we're seeing through enhanced direct entry, as an example. I have some metrics in front of me here for that. The non-equity component, so the non-equity European descendant, is 15% of all those individuals. So we are seeing a very significant engagement done in a different way. So I guess back to the original question, Buildforce has informed us in ways. We've validated that with industry, and we're using that to then strategize and do things in a proper way.
Thank you. MLA Hanson, 6 minutes.
Thank you. And you just answered 3 of my questions all at once, which is great. I also want to ask if the folks at the table from Community College and as well from BTAC have anything that they'd like to add to that for recruitment and retention and what the government could be doing for that.
I'll look for a hand. First, okay, Mr. Lafford.
Thank you for that question. I believe that the attraction to trades needs to start at a younger age. I believe that when I always talk about any occupation that a young person might be interested in, I talk about exposure and experiences. So there's one thing to get the exposure of, you know, getting informed about what that occupation's about and what the training pathways are to get to that occupation. But I think it's a whole other thing to give them that experiential piece so that they actually get their hands on equipment or on tools or creating or developing something to kind of turn that light on for them, to really make it click that this is something that they really want to pursue in their lives. So earlier and more experiential and exposure opportunities for young people in the province.
Okay, Mr. Harding, you, MLA Hanson, Mr. Harding as well? Okay, Mr. Harding.
Yes, just to add to Mr. Lafford's points with getting younger people involved at an earlier age. There's quite a lot of great stuff that does already go on here in Nova Scotia with the Trade Council sector, their mobile trades trailer, now in Cape Breton as well. Also with Skills Nova Scotia. They do a lot of grade 7, 8 programs and younger to get the message around about the trades. Some of that needs to be enhanced with more funds available to especially skilled trades. I know that there's been cutbacks and they've been pulled back on some of their valuable funding that can go towards getting the young people interested in the trades. And the biggest thing is getting rid of that stigma that a lot of us tradespeople face, as my father did, right? It's just, it still exists. It's better. One of the other things too, at a little bit higher age is we do tours of our facility to try and, when somebody reaches out that's interested in our electrical program, and I'm flabbergasted by the students that come in 2 days after they've graduated and expecting to start in September. We need to get the guidance counselors and people in those roles like O2 and that to be educated on, what's out there for the students and not pushing them directly to university or, just saying, figure it out on your own. Well, I think we need to educate them as well as the students to at that age when they're making that decision for their careers.
Thank you. MLA Hanson, and just as a reminder, if you're in the middle of speaking, when time is up, I will have to cut you off, just so you know. 3 minutes. Okay. 2 minutes, 45 seconds.
So this is going to go to the Construction Sector Council. And thank you very much for that. I truly believe that early learning and early experiences really does make a difference. So I truly appreciate the work that you all do, and as well moving forward. The enhanced direct entry pathways the council is working on can also encourage more women getting into the trades. So when the council launched the Construction Industry Supports Program last fall, it said that support services for participants could include childcare. Mr. Sahol, do you have an update on how the program is going, and have women been able to receive childcare support through the program while completing their training?
Mr. Sahol.
Thank you so much for that question. It is an exciting program, and I do have some stats that will go along with the enhanced direct entry piece. And I guess to the second question first, yes, absolutely, families have been able to access child support, relocation costs, and living allowances as part of that program, all funded through Labor Skills and Immigration through Employment Nova Scotia. So it has been wonderful to see these individuals get supports to not worry about the necessities of life to be able to pursue some of this. As an example, we've had over 2,500 applications for enhanced direct entry come over the last number of years. We have been able to, on a program-by-program basis, be able to interview and screen the individual in for success to make sure that they're best suited for that occupation or most aware, and that they will be able to see themselves with success. Because one of the metrics we're really looking at, attached to apprenticeship, and engagement to employment. And so we're seeing 70% happen in that space. And in terms of, I mentioned the diversity aspect as well earlier, there's just an amazing volume that's gone through there. And I don't have the exact stat in front of me, but it's hundreds of individuals have come through those programs, with 70% sticking to employment. And as a result, and in part of, like at apprenticeship, we've now exceeded 9,000 registered apprentices for the first time ever in Nova Scotia. And that is a phenomenal output.
Thank you. 35 seconds, MLA Hanson.
I'm amazed at the numbers. I'm grateful for the work that you do, and I will pass it over to my colleague for the second round.
Okay, we'll move on to the Liberal Caucus and MLA Druin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So it's really exciting time in Nova Scotia with the prospect of the growth that's in front of us between investments in a variety of sectors. And the reality is our rural communities are also vibrant economic drivers, and they have industries like shipbuilding, fisheries and forestry, manufacturing. They also have ongoing construction needs in residential construction, in healthcare and elsewhere. But those rural communities often have very unique needs to the needs that exist in urban areas. And so I have a four-part question that I'd like to ask each of you. I'll just go through it, and if you want to answer it all sort of together or break it apart, but I just want to put it in context. So what I'd like to know is, what each of your organizations are doing to engage with rural Nova Scotia. Like, what are those activities? What are those conversations or tables that are taking place? What are you hearing from rural Nova Scotians, both youth, candidates, and also employers and industry? What are you doing specifically around what you're hearing about rural needs? And what else can we do? Particularly in the face of the growth that we're expecting, there's a real concern that those existing needs might get missed. So I'd really like to hear about each of those activities in your organizations. And I do want to say, I was, each of you mentioned different engagement activities in your opening remarks and the importance of connecting with sector and community. So you reference them, and I'm just looking for details around how that fits in rural Nova Scotia.
So, Mr. Soho, to begin?
Yes, excellent, and thank you for that question. Rural Nova Scotia is such a critical aspect of the province, and I know that goes without saying. We've been trying to find unique ways of engaging in rural areas so that individuals don't have to travel to metro or to an urban center on a regular basis to access training or what have you. One of the things that we've built to do the youth engagement at a younger age, particularly at the grade 7 and grade 8 level, is to have our mobile construction experience trailer go across the province. So while we have the Trades Exhibition Hall and the Trades Exhibition Centers in Halifax and to be in Sydney, respectively, we have the mobile construction experience that goes and takes trades right to youth in their school parking lot, and they have their ability to try it out in ways that they wouldn't otherwise have an opportunity to do so. And we're very proud of that mobile construction experience. In terms of enhanced direct entry, I'm very pleased to share with the committee, we also have 2 mobile classrooms that travel the province. So these mobile classrooms, and we did a construction craft worker program in Spaganakity, where the community welcomed our mobile training center. It's a very large 2 tractor trailer-esque facilities that get married together, and then we bring instructors based on that occupation to that rural community. Individuals then are given an opportunity from the rural community as well as neighboring communities to then attach to that training. And the community was so wonderful to not only receive that training in those trailers, right in the community. They didn't want to let them go. And so we had to have some negotiations to take the trailers back out and redeploy them in other rural parts of the province. And so very, very proud to see how that works. We're also to one of the comments earlier about getting to younger individuals, especially in the rural areas. The Department of Education has purchased what's called a building kit from us, or a construction kit. And so we ship these building kits out to a number of schools all around the province, prioritized often to younger ages and prioritized often to where the Department of Education, Education Early Childhood Development really wants to see them go. And these kits provide 6 or 8 individuals the chance to do this in their classroom, at home, in the community, be able to kind of celebrate that with their classmates and be able to do that. And we're looking at other ways of getting younger individuals who are very haptic in their knowledge and or behavior, and very, very kinesthetic in sort of their practices, where they want to say, show me, let me do it. I want to put my hands on this. There's a very hands-on sort of behavior in the rural communities. And so now we've created, just came into our office this week, puzzles to go out to schools and games to go out to schools, and things that are really looking to get both younger individuals, but those who maybe can't get to our facilities in Halifax in different ways. So it's been very exciting, and when the community themselves really wants you to stay there long term, that is absolutely something that says that we're doing the right things. I guess the biggest challenge that we're seeing, where I work in the ICI space, so bigger than a house, not a road, there's not a lot of things in rural communities other than schools and hospitals that are typically bigger than a house and not a road, long-term care facilities and what have you. So we do see, for individuals rurally who want to attach to our sector, having to look to more major centers sometimes for where those employment opportunities are going to be. If there is a local contractor, it's about finding opportunities to connect them to that local employer, that local contractor, to be able to seize those opportunities when they're available.
Okay, Ms. MLA Druin, you like everybody to answer, would you?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
If we could
Mr.
just keep
Lafford.
going.
Thank you.
Mr. Lafford, yeah, there we go.
Thank you. So we're at NSCC, we're really blessed with having 17 different learning sites across the province. So not far from just about any community within the province. And at those sites, we have staff and faculty members that are connected to industry and employers. We have events at those sites, such as our open house event, tours, the ability for new students to come in and understand what a trade's about, what a program's about, and what their pathway to employment looks like. We stay connected through those local leaders at those sites to the local RENs, chambers of commerce, other organizations that are connected with economic development in those local areas. We also we also have a mobile learning center, much the same as Mr. Soholt has, and just recently we've had that deployed to our Digby campus, and that's an example of something where the scale and the responsiveness. So, you know, in that area, they didn't need, 40 electricians per se, so they didn't need a large scale response. And if we were to put on a program that required, that had 40 seats of electricians, a lot of those people from that community would graduate that program and likely have to leave that community to get employment. So if we right-size the size of the classes, and so with that trailer, we did have, 12 students, I think? It was 12 students. And, and we did that in an accelerated program, so more hours per day, shorter time to train in terms of weeks and months. And so that was really something that we could respond quickly to for the needs in that community, and we can do that for, just about any community in the entire province.
Ms. Hall? Okay, Mr. Harding.
So for our rural outreach, we do it in conjunction with the Trades Council sector. All of the trade unions have a spot in the mobile trades trailer. So that's one of the ways that we outreach to the rural communities. Also to our contractors have generally, historically, kind of stayed in the HRM area. They are now expanding out, and we've done many jobs, especially with wind infrastructure coming, where our historical companies that have stayed local are now spreading out all across the province. And, unfortunately, generally they have to bring workers from Halifax to these areas. So hopefully through the Trades Council sector and the training through both BTAC and NSCC, that we can have workers available in these rural areas for the contractors that are now exploring these areas.
MLA Jerome, with just about a minute.
Thank you. I'll ask my follow-up now, and we'll probably have to come back to it. So I appreciate those comments and the focus on education and access to youth and ensuring that we have opportunities for youth across the province to get into this sector, which is fantastic. And I was lucky to be involved in some of those efforts when I was with education. The next question is really about what else can be done, and it's more of a focus on the businesses that exist and employers that exist in those rural areas. What can be done to help them with the challenges that they're facing, one of them being access to workforce, certainly. And if you could comment on that, it would be appreciated.
Mr. Soholt.
Yes, thank you for that question, and yes, thank you for all your support as well through your previous role to help do a lot of things, youth engagement. In order to connect individuals to employers and employers to individuals, that's been one of the biggest challenges in the rural communities. We have an industry community engagement team that focuses on getting to know who the employers are, what their needs are.
I did warn you. That concludes the time for the Liberal questioning. We'll move on to the Government Caucus, and I'll begin with MLA Boudreau.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you all for coming. I don't know if you've been watching us at all, but my hands are cramping from writing a lot of notes. You guys have been really great at kind of answering the questions, and sometimes we think we understand what's going on, but it's been really helpful to kind of get a sense from kind of the experts on the ground of what's taking place and some of the great opportunities and the partnerships that are happening. And typically I go on these big rants. I'm not right now. I'm going to ask some questions, but at some point I'm sure I'll come back to that. But I think, Mr. Soholt, you kind of said it in your opening remarks, talking about kind of the new announcement that just took place in Cape Breton. And being a Cape Bretoner, I felt like I should kind of bring some of my questions will be related to kind of this opportunity itself, because really this is about talking about connecting with people in their communities and about getting out there to understand where that is. And I think my colleague from Sydney Member 2 would probably say this is great that it's in his riding that we're putting this Cape Breton Trades Exhibition Center. It's being established, and it's for youth all over Cape Breton. I mean, it's there, and certainly there's lots there, but there's excitement in my community as well. And obviously this is, as was said, it's the second one. You have a mobile unit that travels around, but maybe my question is why are we locating the new center where we are in Cape Breton and in Sydney Member 2, and what regional workforce needs will it address? And I think you've talked about it, but I think I want you to highlight it again.
Okay, Mr. Solf.
Thank you so much for those comments, and thank you for the excitement around the second location as well. Just a little bit of history. The Trades Exhibition Hall that's based in Halifax is the first of its kind anywhere. And when we built this back in 2014, we really didn't think it was going to get the attention, the buy-in, the excitement that it has gotten. I've had visitors from across North America now come to see this facility. And with that level of excitement, we started offering 3 visits a week, and then we started to have to book a year and a half out. And we would have individuals from Yarmouth right through to Sydney book charter buses, come down to Halifax, spend a couple of days with us, and turn around and then go back. And as our trades hall coordinator would remind me, she said, I'm having to book people now 2 years out, and that doesn't feel right. And so in seeing that and being able to share that with Minister Young at the time, saying, we really have an opportunity here to bring another facility like this to Nova Scotians to be able to access on a regular basis to help alleviate some of that demand and the travel and everything else that goes along with it, and give parents and community members the ability to access that as well. We really took a look at where could industry also support another facility, because what makes this facility or this model really work that is drawing attention from everywhere else. It has real trades professionals in the booths. It has real construction practices in those booths, and they get a chance to live and breathe the construction environment for that 4, 6, 8-hour visit there with us. And when they leave, they are better informed of going, this is an occupation I want to pursue more, and we can educate them on how to do that. But they also leave the facility, and it's not a bad thing saying, I don't want to pursue this at all either. And that's a good outcome too. And so we chose Sydney to be not only easy accessible to school groups. We chose it to have industry partners and industry professionals available to run those booths on a regular basis. And when we were looking for a facility to house this model, there were certain space requirements and certain access to transportation and services and food and what have you, because when the kids are with us, or the community group is with us, we'll often coordinate food for them while they're there for the day, or their teachers will coordinate food. And really, when we started to kind of piece all those things together, kind of the Antigonish Northeast is really going to look to that new center to really access that in a meaningful and timely way. And we've already got those relationships established, sort of the Antigonish, sort of southwest, to be able to kind of keep accessing the facility. Is there a future in which we need 3? Maybe, I don't know, but we'll get to 2 off the ground and knock it out of the park on behalf of the province and with the industry. And I think it's just. I have a group from British Columbia coming tomorrow to see the facility in Halifax to learn more about it. So it is a joint and shared success with everybody in the room and everybody who's been involved to come and visit. So thank you for that.
MLA Boudreau.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you for that. And when we talk about the excitement in rural Nova Scotia, I do think the timing is perfect, right? There's a lot of potential and a lot of opportunity in terms of like that rural economic development. When we talk about where this province has some significant assets, and I'll give a shout out to maybe NSCC and kind of their wind turbine technician course that's just starting up this year as well. These are the types of things that you guys wouldn't have been at a meeting that I was, hosted, or we were at here a couple of months ago, that I was talking about 2 young people who I ran into at the gym. I think maybe Mr. Lafford, you might have been there, and just talking about like the excitement they have for the skilled trades and where they want to go and the opportunities that they see. And so I think we all are in agreement in terms of thinking about we need to get to our young people earlier. And I can think of my daughter who is only in grade 10, but the opportunities that she could see in our communities. And so I'll probably have more to say on some of that as well. But I guess you kind of highlighted kind of what your role is in the Cape Breton Trades Exhibition Center and how but if you want to elaborate on that a little bit more, maybe about the role of the sector in the Halifax one as well as the Cape Breton one, and how it will help with labor shortages, because we all recognize that there are challenges ahead.
Mr. Soho.
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, my organization is very proud to be that help desk for both government and industry. So when that opportunity comes forward of saying, how do we engage youth younger? How do we do things differently? Being able to then match with where the priorities and opportunities are within government, the apprenticeship agency, labor skills and immigration, or education or childhood development, and then saying to industry, how do we do this? That's really how the Trades Exhibition Hall came to be. At the time, myself and two staff that I had at the time when we were doing predominantly research, we kept seeing the research recommendation, engage youth. And we were predominantly a research-based body, and it would constantly say, engage youth. And when you get to a stage in an organization's sort of development of going, well, nobody else is going to do it, so we might as well do it ourselves. And so that's honestly what happened. And myself and the team sat down with our board of directors, said, here's the vision, here's where we want to see it go. The board said, we don't see it, it's probably not going to fly. Said, give me a few months and we'll see what happens from there. The board said, you know what, if you can find partners to be part of that, the province being a key one, we will happily endorse it. The province stepped up at the time and said, yes, we would love to be part of this vision that you've got. And it just exceeded all expectations. And so in designing that, in living and breathing that, my real children don't appreciate this story, but I call it my firstborn. And they've reminded me that that's not allowed to be said all the time, but it is true. And the mobile construction experience was my thirdborn. So these are things that again, we're very proud of. The industry, in seeing the success, now says, how do we help you do this? And the moment industry is in that position to say, we want to be part of the solution and help out, quite honestly, my job as that project management officer, as that facilitator, becomes so much easier. And I look to the partners at the table here. When we have visits, and we've had community college students come through there, we've had, as Mr. Harding mentioned, we've had building trades representatives in those booths promoting it, celebrating its success, being part of it. It's really easy for me to take a step back now and let the industry and our partners and government kind of feel that ownership. And that's where I see this Cape Breton Trades Exhibition Center really flourishing. The announcement last week was done in 3 days, and we had over 200 people show up with excitement to see this. That speaks volumes to me when we buy a facility, we share the vision of what we're trying to do, and community leaders show up, government leaders show up, industry leaders show up, and they say, we see ourselves being part of this. Let's all do this together. And that just makes life easier for everybody.
I'm sure your children understand, but it's now enhanced, so it's permanently on record now. So, MLA Boudreau.
I think I could ask all kinds of questions. I think I was going to talk about the expected, number of visitors that were going to come to Cape Breton because of this, or the number of visitors to the schools you're going to reach and the public outreach. But you already highlighted what's going on in Halifax and the wait list. So I fully expect big things from this and very excited to see it. And sorry I couldn't make it to the announcement last week. I had another commitment, but I think I'll pass it over to my colleague.
MLA Fatherey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the witness for being here today. Some of the things I'm hearing today are success stories around, we've exceeded 9,000 registered apprentices, and we're hearing stories around direct entries connecting about 7% of participants to employment and apprenticeship. I think that's a remarkable story. Recognizing where we're coming from is always important as we head towards the destination that we also desire. I know you also talked about there's a way you are able to map out the various needs regarding needs in terms of the industry needs. I'm just curious, my question is basically, the first question I want to ask is, how the role of the council, that's to Mr. Sohot, the role of the council in helping to understand what the government pressures are, what the needs are. How are you able to determine what we need in terms of seats, in terms of priority areas, based on the data? How do you come about those decisions that you make or recommendations that you make towards government around workforce pressures and needs?
Mr. Soho.
Thank you so much for that question. First and foremost, the partnership that the Sector Council has always had with the province of Nova Scotia has just been remarkable. So transparency of need, communication, Many of you I've been able to connect with even outside hours to say, hey, here's what we're hearing, what we're seeing in a local community. Is this what's resonating with you? And yourselves have said, yes, we see this. Having that access and that engagement level is uniquely Nova Scotian. My colleagues in other provinces will go 13 different steps or through 13 different contacts to reach an MLA or a minister or a deputy minister, what have you. The relationship, first and foremost, is there. When we're forecasting how to make sure that we're delivering programming that truly matters and is successful for Nova Scotians, though, I can't credit enough the buy-in and the support from Public Works, from Build Nova Scotia, from the contractors, from the building trades, the support through LSI. And I wish I could show this on a bigger screen. We built a forecasting model with everybody's involvement, right up to a general contractor, to an owner, right down to a subcontractor, and talking to the building trades and talking to community college folks to get a truer picture of labor supply and what labor demand is going to look like. And again, this is going to be very, very small. I can pass around. You can kind of get a look at this. We are able to now, and this is drawing a lot of federal attention, and this is the most recent version. This is a forecasting model. Now it's Excel, so it's not paper-based. But I can put in here, or we could put in here then, what we think a major project could look like. Green energy, defense, it could be mining, it could be hospital work or school work, long-term care facilities. And because the industry has bought into this so much, we can set variables in here for how long we think the project should take, what the cost of that project is anticipated to be, and over and above the regular activity in the ICI industry, it will pop out the number of individuals that would be needed for that project by occupation. And the green and the red is really where, if there's a 30% differential that says we will not have those individuals, we mark it as red. If we have those individuals in the industry already that maybe just need to be deployed or facilitated in a different way, we're able to then do forecasting that says we know we're going to need, in this particular situation, we know we're going to need construction managers in year 2 of a hospital project of $5 billion. We know we're going to need concrete finishers in the tune of about 66 individuals in year 1. And when we've been able to take this to contractors and say, does this make sense? Is this what you're seeing? And they're saying yes. We know the model, the recipes in building this are really having value. So then as we put in scenarios and as we're able to then advise or provide sort of that support, that help desk role for the province, saying maybe a school right now with these other school projects is not the best idea based on the model. If we delay it by 4 months, we could see crews free up from one and go to the next and maximize Nova Scotian labor. We're able to have some of those conversations with real numbers that we never had before. And so it also highlights then for us to the enhanced direct entry or to the recruitment activities. If we know we're going to be deficient in electricians, or we know we're going to be seeing a real a challenge where we might have, for example, 220 electricians needed in year 4 of a major hospital project, we can have that conversation with those employers and those building trades to say, if we need 220 electricians in year 4, what can we do about that today? And how do we best access supports or funds or whatever to make that happen? And so it's given us the ability now to, with data, forecast and actually do intentional work differently and better.
MLA Fatheré.
That's really impressive. No wonder you started by saying you're a help desk, but your project management, I will add office. It's more of a project management office. I see, being a project manager myself, I really appreciate the data that you've really put together there, because that for me is really, really interesting. It means that you don't, because many times people think that because a project is announced means the project becomes successful. But the real work is, the work the project management office does to ensure that it's not just because we're throwing billions of dollars around in defense announcement, it's because we have this kind of groundwork already set up and ready to go. And I think that's really impressive. It shows that we're ready as Nova Scotians for the big projects that are coming our way. I want to direct my question to Mr. Lafford. The province is investing $25 million over the 5 years to modernize skilled trade equipment and technology at NSCC. How will NSCC determine where that investment is most urgently needed, and what practical difference will students and employers see as a result of that 25? Because sometimes, we hear all those announcements about money, and people are wondering, okay, I want to be able to see it, like touch it, feel it, experience it. I'm just wondering whether there are also practical differences that you could highlight that either students or guardians or parents or even the general public can see towards those $25 million investment.
Mr. Lafford.
Thank you for the question, and it's really an upgrade in terms of our modernizing of the equipment that students will use to learn their skills on. So Technology changes quite quickly, and in certain industries, it changes faster than others. And to sort of align it with what Trent just talked about is this information that Trent's able to share with us and other system partners allows us to readjust our program mix as to what programs and how many seats are in certain parts of the province at certain given times. And that is information that is incredibly valuable, and it also feeds into where we're going to need that equipment and those new pieces of equipment and new shops and new tools and other types of things that go into educational supplies with our programs. So that what our goal is and what the system goal is to be able to train students so that when they exit the college and they attach themselves to the labor force, they have already learned on the pieces of equipment that are in the most modern workspaces within the province. And they're not being taught on a technology that is either slowly phasing out or has already phased out. And there's, like I said, there's certain trades such as, in the heat pump, sort of HVAC and refrigeration areas, that technology continues to change. There's a lot of electronics in that. There's a lot of controls and switches and things like that continues to change and be introduced into the industry. What our job is to not only provide that equipment for the students to work on and those tools, but just as importantly, have our instructors skilled up to be able to deliver on that themselves. They may have started working with us 10 years ago and worked on an old type of heat pump with a different type of controller. We need them to be right at that's great knowledge, but be right at the cusp of what we're seeing in industry as far as equipment and tools that have, that are in the market.
MLA Fatherey.
Okay, let me ask my last question. I'll still direct it to NSCC. Maybe Ms. All might want to attempt it. We've heard today that the Institute of Skilled Trade Council meet monthly and directly influencing programs, curriculum, and equipment and training delivery. Just wondering, can you speak of how the council is able to best support the workforce could you give us an example of advice from the council that NSCC has acted upon in preparing or just being able to support the workforce? Since you guys been often, just wanting to see the value in that.
Sorry, Mr. Lafferty.
Sorry about that. So as part of the Institute of Skilled Trades, there's been a number of sprints, and these sprints are industry sprints that basically look at each one of the trade areas, and we do it in rapid succession throughout one can be very long day. And so we bring in people from industry, we bring in people from the Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Agency with Nova Scotia Community College, and we have discussions about everything that's involved in that trade, all the barriers to success, including equipment, including the curriculum, including attraction, and we talk about ways that we can address those and find solutions going forward. So a specific example would be something that in the sheet metal program at Akerley campus, we had so I should say during these sprints, we take everybody that's involved in the sprint and we walk them down to the shop or shops, depending on the trade. And we said, what is missing from this shop? You guys run businesses. You guys work on your own equipment within the real work environment. How can we best replicate the work environment? We're not trying to simulate the work environment. We're trying to replicate it. And so these attendees of the sprints will give us direct information. One of the things that I have a little bit of smile and chuckle on because it's something that has been brought up a number of times, and we've been able to rectify it, is a plasma cutter table within the sheet metal shop at Akerley campus in Dartmouth. We did have a plasma cutting table, but it was in another shop, and it was for heavier gauge steel. So it wasn't, you could learn the skill, but it wasn't the exact piece of machinery that they would need to use in industry. And so we've been able to dial right in on, here's the model number, here's the type, and here's what's going to work for our students given that it replicates, again, what's being used in industry. But that's just one piece of equipment amongst, dozens. Yeah.
Thank you. MLA Father? Okay, so we'll move on to MLA Sheehy Richard.
Thank you, Chair. And this has been an exciting topic, and I don't know if it hit home so much for me with my kids at that age. I joke that we're doing our part in the Sheehy Richard household with 3 in the trades. But I like this continuing theme that I'm hearing about the cooperation of that everybody's working together and we're not working in silos towards how we meet these kind of scary scary numbers when you think about it. But then on the other hand, you think 9,000 this year is incredible. I know it was also one of you mentioned about the social worker guidance counselor and just the link between the two organizations, like just the link between some guidance counselors that, maybe are newer to the school system. But one of the common themes that I've heard, and we talk about how do we get this information out, it's always this challenge. How do you, every time I'm at a golf tournament, I'm talking about the more opportunities in skilled trades. Did you know about all these things? And to employers and, youth at the same. But I guess my question is, has there ever been any discussion, whether it be amongst yourselves or even with government or the apprenticeship agency, to have some type of a registry, if you will, or a portal, and maybe it exists that I've but my thought is, and this is what they've asked me in the past, is there a place where we can have employers register so those seeking certain apprentices or those that want a direct entry to give them the try over the summer, because it is a great way for some to see if they're unsure between a couple trades, because granddad was an electrician but dad was a plumber, or Joe is whatever, my best friend is taking this, but I guess, is there a way to see that they could link the two in an easy to find place that you can have even in rural Nova Scotia in particular, it's really challenging to find unless you sort of know the person that wants to take you on as the apprentice or the journey person, or there's enough journey persons working for a certain company. Some have better means or ways of meeting the ratios of the 1 to 3 now. So I guess in a roundabout way, if that makes any sense, has there been discussions on a portal where this information could be at a quick touch, easy to use, and maybe it's something that is part of some of the curriculum in the O2 or even as a presentation when it's, what do you want to do in the next so many years of your life? So we can start with, I see you scribbling, so I guess we could start with you, Mr. Soho.
So MLA Sheehy Richard, are you opening that question up to the panel?
So.
Or specifically Mr. Soho? Because we'll start with Mr. Soho. I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Soho.
Thank you. Simple answer, are we talking about it and coordinating in ways like we've never done before? Absolutely. An example of this is the apprenticeship agency started, I believe it's called exploretradesns.ca. I hope that's the exact web address. And it's got a number of partners, both in the construction and other sectors, as well as links to apprenticeship and what have you. So that's one sort of central hub to be able to access a variety of different trades-related information. Summer camps has been a wonderful way of getting folks to learn about and also say, hey, I want to do this in the summer, or I want to take a co-op, or I want to do what have you. Those conversations are happening through summer camps. And there are programs even based in the industry. So I think of Building Futures for Youth as an example through the Construction Association. They will connect individuals with those co-op opportunities in the summer through the Options and Opportunities process through education. So there's a lot of really cool different ways to get connected to. If somebody feels stuck or they don't really know where to go next, I encourage them to call my office. I have staff who are happy to meet with them and talk to them about what the options may be, what the pathway may be to meeting an employer, what the difference of direct entry versus enhanced direct entry versus pre-apprenticeship might be. And we call that our industry community engagement team. And they have a list of employers on a regular basis that says we're looking for individuals in this occupation or who want to pursue this trade. And so in doing so, they will often connect. One of the things we're working on, which is more on an immigration front right now than it is on a Nova Scotian front, though, is a platform called VidCruiter, where individuals can put their resume in and contractors or employers can put their needs in, and the system itself will then help match that up. But our industry community engagement team has been working heavily to do that, and we've been trying to figure out ways of maximizing the engagement for Nova Scotian youth, career transitioners, job seekers to be able to access that as well. Trying to be that sort of support network then for individuals to find where that opportunity may be. And then on our website at nscsc.ca, there's something called the Construction Hub. And that Construction Hub not only highlights a variety of different occupations in the construction industry that somebody can learn more about, it also has games and little quizzes and assessments and things like that to make sure that somebody feels a little more informed to pursue an occupation. And that's actually a platform that we've partnered with other like organizations across the country. And so it has a little more of that continuity as well. So if we're talking to an employer here, or if somebody says, I really want to do this, but I'd love to travel and do work at the same time, it does kind of align then with other jurisdictions. But that Construction Hub is also available through our website.
Thank you. MLA Sheehy Richard.
Thank you for that, because I'm a member of my Chamber of Commerce as well, and I do work really closely with the EDGE program through Nova Scotia Works, and I just find that there's more time than ever where employers are now wanting to give youth opportunities when before they maybe weren't, I don't want to call the word desperate, but weren't as they really want to try to get them in. And a really good story was an at-risk youth that I said, hey, it's no obligation to you. Try the EDGE program, see if you can find somebody. It was a really unique, it's finish carpentry, like moldings and whatnot that the gentleman was doing. Works out perfect. He's now apprenticing. So it all kind of started at that really young age to pull them in when they're not even really finished high school, but then at risk of maybe not finishing high school, but then sees the value in, hey, if I do pursue this, here's an easy way I didn't really know, and a technique that I didn't know I was really good at. So even though I know one of the questions is why is the most maybe targeted at the 30, just 30 and under, but we're also talking about training the next generation. And from each decade, surprisingly, a lot can change really quickly, where you're seeing a 25-year-old now is the journey person for a 17 or 18-year-old, which then, because there's not such an age gap, it's both giving the two a boost. So would you say that the importance of programs like MOST or like the rebates that are kind of encouraging people to participate in these programs, would you say that need is helping folks in trades? Is it helping them want to see an opportunity to maybe make the investment in themselves? Are you seeing those as positives? And is there any other suggestions that you might be able to, or any other way that you can say that these are making a meaningful impact? And I guess either the Mr. Schoholt or Mr. Harding, even if you're seeing that in your industry as well, it would be nice to hear from you both.
Okay, so Mr. Harding. With 35 seconds.
I don't think I can get much into that time. Again, I brought up the most earlier this year, and I just think that, or earlier today, I think that it needs to be for all apprentices, regardless of age. I don't think it should be open for journey persons. They're not in that need to get that tax incentive. I think it's the apprenticeship itself to get them trained and get new journey persons into the trades, which is one of the biggest things we have a problem with, is we don't have enough journey persons to have enough apprentices.
Order. That concludes our PC caucus questioning. We'll now move on to the NDP again. Now, there's 11 minutes, so 5.5 each. So, MLA Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my question is going to go for NSCC and BTAC. When we left off, I spoke about women and childcare. So I wanted to kind of talk about the the women that the YWCA surveyed, women and gender diverse people working in the skills trades in Nova Scotia, over 90% in 2024 reported experiencing at least one form of sexual and gender-based harassment while at work. So how is anti-harassment education being integrated into NSCC and building trades advancement college programs to ensure construction sites are more inclusive moving forward?
You're directing that to Mr. Harding or Mr. Soholt? Who's, or?
Mr. Lafford.
Okay. All right, so who would like to begin? Mr. Lafford?
Sure. Thank you for that question. So a few things that we're doing at NSCC is we're working with employers to help them understand the advantages to having a welcoming and safe workplace for students that come, whether it's women or students that are facing any type of discrimination. The other thing so we have courses that they can take to be able to better understand why it's so important to create those safe environments. And of course, those reasons are it's the right thing to do, A, and B, it's such an issue right now. And I hear about it anecdotally from graduates that are out in the workforce that may face those types of discriminatory practices and harassment. And so what we're trying to do, we're kind of like a 2 or 3 pronged approach. One, working with the employers. 2, our students themselves, building up advocacy type skills within those students so that they are able to speak and advocate for themselves when they leave the college. And they're on their own as an adult, so to speak, and really helping our faculty with instilling within those students what the real employment environment expectations should be, like what's acceptable and what's not acceptable.
Emily Hanson. Oh, sorry. I apologize. Mr. Harding.
Yeah, so we do several things. One in BTAC, right on day one, one of our first workshops or courses that we teach, we do an inclusive and safe work environment and safe learning environment is one of our first day one topics that we talk about to make sure that everybody's respectful of everyone else. Also belonging to a union organization is we have the benefit of having a membership development team, an executive board that if there is an incident on site, it can be reported and a grievance can be filed, and that person who has committed that offense will actually be brought in front of the executive board and can be removed from the site or from the union altogether. And it works well with our membership. The nice thing with being a union member is that you're protected against all discrimination and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how we approach it. We also use the mentoring program that is set up by the Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Agency that talks about the differences that we all have when we're out on sites and in general in society today.
Thank you. Emily Hanson.
Thank you for that. And I'm glad to hear that because I think education and awareness is key. We've heard from other presenters who came and spoke about how, women want to be in the workforce. They want to be in the trades, but because they're experiencing these types of things, it's hard for them, to really feel welcomed and accepted into that world. So I'm glad to hear that that's something that is that you're supporting the training, the awareness piece, and the advocacy is really important. And moving forward, we want to see more women in the trades. So, and this is to anyone. So has the Department of Labor, Skills and Immigration given any direction to the colleges or the Construction Sector Council on steps that should be taken to prevent gender-based harassment or racism on construction sites? Has there been any additional information or direction on the things that should and could be done from the department to any of your facilities?
Mr. Soholt with 38 seconds.
Thank you for that question. I think it's worth highlighting. I think it was a year ago when the anti-bullying and workforce harassment policy came out. Labor, Skills and Immigration really made sure that we were all aware of it. It was then part of our role to make sure employers were aware of that, and then provided templates and sort of processes for individuals to make sure that they're doing it well, respectfully, and that they're able to do it in sort of a way that's both formal in nature, but at the same time protects the individual in whatever circumstance they may be. So in providing that guidance and in providing a lot of training opportunities around that, we've been passing that on now to employers directly to make sure that they're aware of this requirement, that they're aware of this.
Order. Sorry, it happened again. MLA Druhin for the Liberal Caucus.
Thank you, Chair. I want to pick up on the question of support for rural communities. And so my question to each of you is, can you share with us 2 or 3 things that are different, new, or things that we could be doing more of that would support meeting the construction and trades needs of our rural communities, particularly the employers and the sectors who are based there?
So who would like to begin with this question? I'll look for a hand. Mr. Soholt.
Sure, I like to fill silence. I think I highlighted a number of things earlier that are around training and around youth engagement, around industry community engagement and connections to employers and to individuals on that. I think in terms of the rural piece, what I would really love to spend some time on is really better understanding the opportunities as they exist, as they will be, and better inform the community members of that. So when we do our forecasting model and the model that I showed earlier, a lot of the nuances or details, even around defense spending, we don't get the full breadth of what the activity might be in a particular geographic region. And if there's a way to both work with the province or work with constituents or businesses to better understand what that future state looks like, we can better plan to meet that future state. And again, as an example of defense spending, like the investments that we know are coming are significant. They are opportunities for Nova Scotians in a lot of rural areas, quite honestly. And the better we can connect to or be informed by our partners, we can then say there's going to be an opportunity for crane operators, as an example, at Greenwood, or we know there's going to be an opportunity for electricians in an area that maybe hasn't seen electricians of that scale in quite some time. But that would be where I would my kind of wish would be, I guess.
Emily Druin, you're looking for some other comments? Anyone else like to address that question? Mr. Lafford.
Yeah, and thank you for the question. I think it's a really important one because what we're seeing is all sorts of opportunity coming into certain parts of the province that are rural in nature. And, to Mr. Soholt's point, it's not necessarily being promoted as, let's say, for example, when Ship Start Here started in the province, where everybody was aware of this tremendous opportunity to capitalize on an investment with job opportunities. I think one of the things that we have to be better at is socializing these opportunities and the exact opportunities. So, like the exact occupations, not there's $200 million being invested in this local community, but what does that actually mean in terms of occupations, in terms of how a lifestyle that it can be guaranteed for a number of years, in a lot of cases, a tremendous opportunity for those that could even stay as long as right through to retirement. So these are like the dinner table conversations that need to take place. So when I think about it, I think about community influencers, I think about parents, I think about people who are connected to media and connected to just people with the louder voices, sort of like the mayors and the politicians within those communities, to be very crystal clear about the opportunity and what those occupations are that come with that, and encourage folks to have those conversations at the proverbial dinner table.
Okay, and Mr. Harding, a minute and a half.
So a lot of our outreach to the rural communities is done through the mobile experience trailer, through the Trade Council sector. And when it travels around Nova Scotia, it has local representation. For example, our IBW booth, if it's in Yarmouth, we'll have one of our members that is local so that they know the area and they know the community itself. So that's kind of how we outreach for that. Far as our BTAC programs, we get inquiries about our program from all sorts of different areas throughout Nova Scotia. We have people coming in from Bridgewater, from Antigonish and stuff like that for our program. And we have specific jurisdictions within our union to, allow someone to work in their own community or their own county. So we've kind of broken down into counties as well. So that's kind of how we do that outreach.
MLA Druin?
I appreciate that. Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to the PC Caucus for 11 minutes. MLA Sheehy Richard.
Thank you. I just wanted to finish with the, I think that the question I tried to ask was that for a young person pursuing the career, whether it's a skilled trade or not, how would you say that the most opportune, like the most program and the incentives, because I beg to differ, because you need the apprentice and the journey person are kind of both the same. So as they apprentice, the idea behind the premise of most is to get more youth captured in the workforce than already currently exist, and to nab them straight as direct entry or post-secondary versus getting, maybe it was always in their head that they would go to university, but now there's a little incentive here that maybe they would prefer to take a trade and maybe they would prefer. So would you say that it is actually making a meaningful difference in some of the, financially, for one, the rebates can be quite significant if you're making the $50,000 and maxing out on it. Do you think that that is making some of the decisions more financially attractive for some of these rebates and that program in particular? Mr.
Soho?
Yes.
Thank you for that. In terms of an incentive in the MOST program, is it having an impact? I have to believe it is, or else we wouldn't still have it. I have to believe it is having that impact and having individuals access that funding. Are there opportunities to kind of revisit it? Certainly. I think my comment earlier was really around awareness. When we're talking at the apprenticeship table about apprentices in rural areas or urban areas who maybe even don't understand the nuances to that, or, and I don't mean to be controversial, a young apprentice, they're not usually the most tech-savvy form filler outers. They don't fill out applications. They don't do those sorts of things. So if there's a way of visiting it in a lens of the person we want to benefit, I'd be all for that. I think there's opportunities not only through MOST. I think there's tool credits and grants that are available when they look at their taxes. There's mobility tax credits that they could access. The federal government has made announcements as recent as the spring around apprenticeship level incentives and Red Seal completion incentives. I think those are anything we can do to incentivize somebody to go to apprenticeship, attach to apprenticeship, progress, and complete. I think we should do that. And if we can find equal opportunities to get those journey persons to make sure that they mentor in a way that they need to mentor, and those employers to support that, and so that we do have a workforce of tomorrow by having that apprenticeship system robust, I'm all for whatever incentives resonate with the individual that we could help leverage that, provides that financial incentive. And a lot of these things we might have to do a course on. Here's how you fill out the form, or here's how you apply, or what have you. I think that's an opportunity for us to, do better in that space too.
MLA Sheehy Richard?
Thank you for that, because I can attest that the complication for those age demographic is, I do think that sometimes it does need a little simplifying. I did find it hard to help the first time, but once we say you need to use a desktop, get off of your phone, you'll probably find your laptop is more suited for this type of thing. But I appreciate that feedback, because as you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about all of it, and ways that we're always looking at ways to promote and tweak any programmings that we do have, and we have noticed success. More recently as the word gets out there more and more. So I think we can all do our part in sharing that, but I've taken up enough airspace, so I'm going to pass it on to my colleague so she can get a couple questions off. Thank you.
MLA Timmins.
Thank you. Since 2023, our government had committed more than $100 million specifically in growing the Nova Scotia skilled trade workforce, including investments in apprenticeship, training, bursaries, incentive, journeyman and journey persons. From the perspective of the industry organization, what difference are you seeing from that sustained investments in the construction sector?
Mr. Soho?
Thank you for that question. That investment was so significant at a time, and I was the chair of the board at the time with Deputy Minister Zapley as it was being announced. And the things that it was aspiring to do were just absolutely amazing. And we're starting to see some of that now, that rubber hit the road, so to speak. We're starting to see the impact of some of that. And you can see that even in the stats that I shared earlier, over 9,100 registered apprentices for the first time. We're starting to see our certificate of qualification rates increase. We're starting to see retention of apprentices in ways that we haven't seen before. We're seeing that investment, not only from a training perspective, but an industry engagement perspective, kind of change the conversation. And a kudos to the leadership team at the Apprenticeship Agency. They are doing a lot of work to make sure that they are responsive not only to government priorities, but also to industry priorities as well, and finding that opportunity of marrying that. And just some of the stats that I have on this is actually from a presentation we made to federal labor market ministers that was hosted in Halifax recently. We've had over 2,700 employers engaged in the apprenticeship system. We've exceeded our goal of 1,000 certifications, which is just absolutely amazing. We've seen 56% growth in training since 2022, 6,100 technical training seats throughout the province, 5,500 plus new apprentices that have exceeded the 5,000 goal of new apprentices that was set out as part of that announcement as well. And then we've also, one of the things that is just absolutely remarkable to see as part of that investment, how do we modernize apprenticeship has been part of that thread, but how do we do things a little bit differently? And we recently launched, I say recently, but in the last year, we launched the Advisory Council of Apprentices. And so we have now a committee of apprentices who live and breathe this every single day, who are now helping to inform the system. They're helping to tell us where we need to do better. They're telling us the things that they find work really well or don't. And it has been such a remarkable thing to be part of, to see these young individuals, these future trades professionals, tell us how it is going to have to be to keep them engaged and keep them progressing. And it is such a wonderful committee to sit in on, that when we share it through the Canadian Council of Directors of Apprenticeship, which is the national body for apprenticeship, it is looked at as a best practice across Canada. And I think a lot of our apprenticeship work, and largely inspired by that investment, we are nation leading in the province for apprenticeship. And I know we have a lot of opportunities and challenges still ahead, but I don't want to lose sight that the things that we're doing are truly innovative in the province, and we are truly inspiring how skilled trades and how those future professionals are going to get to that next level for us.
Thank you for that. 3 minutes and 30 seconds. MLA Timmins.
Okay. Yep.
MLA Timmins.
Yes. We were talking about investments, but one of the challenges we hear about is not just attracting apprentices, but ensuring that there's enough experienced journeymen available to train them. Our government introduced an incentive up to $2,500 per complete level of an apprenticeship training for a journeyman person who takes on that membership role. How valuable is this kind of investment in expanding the apprenticeship capacity?
Mr. Soho.
Thank you. When that announcement first happened, I'll be honest, I was quite excited about it. It's something that I've thought for many, many years was an area we need to focus on, is how to get that journey person, that mentorship supports put in place. Again, to the conversation around the MOST program, are folks aware of it still, and are they using it to the same degree that I think they could be? Probably not. Is there an opportunity to revisit how to do that? I hope so. But it's really, in having industry engagement happening through the Apprenticeship Agency, are we doing the right things with the time that we have and the money that we have available? And I think that program, to incentivize journey persons to take on mentorship, is critical. I would also add, though, that, and one of the things that I share a lot with Build Nova Scotia and Public Works, we have to be very intentional for how we procure projects to make sure the employer buys in as well. And there's an opportunity to say to an employer, as part of receiving this bid, as part of winning this project, we expect you to engage in the apprenticeship system. We expect you to hire apprentices. We expect you to hire qualified journey persons who spend the time then to train, mentor those qualified to those apprentices, so that they too become our future journey people. And I think there's an opportunity for us as well, which is through procurement practices and models, to do it in a variety of different ways, not only incentives, but regulatory approach, and really trying to aspire what we want the industry to look like, because we will need journey people, and we need it to happen faster if we're going to meet these opportunities.
Thank you. MLA Timmons.
Pass it on to one of my colleagues if there's enough time.
Okay, MLA Boudreau with 1 minute and 5 seconds.
Minute and 5 seconds. Well, I
try to give you
though, yeah, no. Look, thank you so much for coming. I think you've highlighted a lot of important information, but you also highlighted the importance of us all working together. And I've taken some of this to heart as well. Like, I'm not doing the best job maybe at kind of promoting some of these things that we are doing and engaging in the community. I'm fortunate in my community. There's a whole bunch of people who are really engaged. I have a good friend, Barry Landry. He's a proponent and probably one of the biggest supporters of the apprenticeship agent, and the process that goes through. I think of Everwin and the potential that they have and how they bring in students into, like, they bring busloads of students all the time to show them, here's what we're thinking, this is what we want to do, this is the opportunities we have. I think of like the engagement of the Chamber of Commerce and NSCC about talking about what are the needs in our community and how do we engage. We're very fortunate in Richmond County to have a skilled trades school. So we have kids that are getting to test kind of trades right from the get-go in grades, 10, 11, 12. And
Order.
I tried.
The close was almost there. It was really good. So that concludes our question period for this afternoon. I'd like to give our guests an opportunity to give a brief closing statement if they'd like to review for the afternoon. And I'll go in reverse order this time. So, Mr. Hardy, we can keep our comments maybe to a minute to each of you. Mr. Hardy?
Yes, thank you again for the invitation to speak today on the skilled trades. It's something that I've been very passionate about since I've been basically born. I was born into it, and I loved every minute of it, even if I was forced to try and move away from it. I think one of the biggest things is we've talked a lot about apprenticeship and getting the youth involved. One of the things to get the youth involved and to see them be successful is to have more journey persons involved and finding ways to get more journey persons here in Nova Scotia. One of them is through immigration, I believe, and I think we need to set up programs to take immigrants that have skills in their own country and adapting them quicker to become journey person status here in Nova Scotia. Being at Humber College in Ontario, we used to run a program with immigration where we'd do a 10-week program with electricians from other countries, and we would get them up to speed on our Canadian code and our installation practices here, and they would write their Red Seal certificate at the end of that process. And now we had more journey persons available to take on more apprentices. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Mr. Lafford?
Just thank you for involving us in this conversation, and it's we learned a lot today, and really appreciate the support of the government and the folks around these tables today. Not only from the perspective of investments into the college, but also from the support that we get just in terms of getting the word out about the opportunities that exist at the college for young people, career transitioners, and all those alike. So really just want to say thank you and appreciate the continued support.
Thank you. And Mr. Soho?
I too just want to thank each of you for the time this afternoon and being able to share with you some of the amazing things that are happening in the province. I am very fortunate to be able to represent the province in apprenticeship on a national level, and that is large part due to the support that you have provided and the support that you continue to provide both to the construction sector and to the apprenticeship agency. I guess I just reiterate, we are your help desk as well. So if there's ever a time where you're saying, hey, I'm hearing this in my constituency and this does make sense or doesn't make sense, or there's something that somebody you want to connect to in a different way, please don't hesitate to give me a shout. I'm happy to leave you my business card or what have you. And I've also got some impact reports as well that through your investments, through your support, we are truly changing how we see construction in the province of Nova Scotia and doing things well that are resonating, quite frankly, all across Canada. So thank you again for the time today.
So again, on behalf of the committee, thank you for coming, and we all got some good takeaways today, and we look forward to catching up with you again. So we'd like to give you an opportunity to pack up, and we'll take 2 minutes, and then we'll come back to our committee business after that. Thank you for coming. We stand in recess. Order. If I could ask our committee members to come back to the table.
Just remember that.
What's that?
I was the only one sitting down there.
You were. So, so we'll move on to committee business. There was no committee business brought to our attention. Is there any committee business here in the committee now? Well, if not, our next meeting, and we'll see what the schedule of the House, but the next meeting is October the 6th, 2026, from 1 to 3 p.m. The topic is the school lunch program, and our witnesses will be the Department of Education, Early Childhood Development, Napas Valley Regional Center for Education, and Chignecto Central Regional Center for Education. So with that, we stand. Should I wait another 2.5 minutes to say this? Adjourned.